My name is Madison Clark, and the day that was supposed to be the happiest of my life became the day I destroyed the people who tried to destroy me. For 2 years, I believed I was building a future with the perfect man. Ethan Brooks was charming, ambitious, and exactly the kind of fiancé my family adored. He knew how to speak in a room full of executives, how to make my mother laugh, how to hold my hand in public like I was the most precious thing in his world. At least, that's what I thought. Our wedding was set for early October at a beautiful vineyard just outside Napa Valley. White roses, golden sunset, string lights across the reception, lawn the kind of wedding people post on Pinterest boards titled Dream Day. Everyone said I was lucky. I wish luck had been the truth. 3 months before the wedding, I started noticing small changes. Ethan became protective of his phone. He started stepping outside to take calls. He worked late more often. When I asked simple questions, he responded with irritation instead of reassurance. "You're overthinking, Maddie," he would say, kissing my forehead. "You're just stressed about the wedding." Maybe I was. Planning a 200-guest event isn't easy. My older sister, Lauren, was my maid of honor. She was confident, outspoken, and always claimed she was protective of me. She and Ethan got along well, sometimes too well, but I dismissed the thought immediately. That was my sister. That was my fiancé. I trusted them. One evening, about 10 weeks before the wedding, Ethan left his smartwatch on the kitchen counter when he went to show her. It lit up with a message notification. I wasn't trying to snoop. I wasn't looking for betrayal, but I saw my sister's name. Lauren, last night can't happen again. Not this close to the wedding. My heart didn't shatter instantly. It froze. I stood there staring at the screen, telling myself there had to be another explanation. Maybe it was about planning. Maybe it was about a surprise. Then another message appeared. "Ethan, after the wedding, we won't have to hide." That was the moment something inside me shifted. Not loudly, not dramatically, silently. I didn't confront him. I didn't scream. I didn't cry. I took a screenshot. Over the next few weeks, I became the best actress of my life. I smiled at cake tastings. I hugged my sister during dress fittings. I kissed Ethan in front of photographers. I played the glowing bride while collecting evidence piece by piece. I checked phone records on our shared plan. Late night calls between Ethan and Lauren. Dozens of them. I installed a small voice recorder in my home office after I noticed. They often volunteered to help with wedding planning there while I was at work. I hated myself for doing it, but I hated being lied to more. 2 weeks later, I got what I needed. Their voices, clear, undeniable. Lauren laughing softly. Ethan whispering that he couldn't wait until this whole show was over. Lauren saying she's too blind to see it. I didn't feel heartbreak in that moment. I felt clarity. They weren't just having an affair. They were humiliating me behind my back. So I made a decision. The wedding would continue exactly as planned. If they wanted a show, I would give them one. I transferred all the recordings, screenshots, and phone logs onto a secure flash drive. I contacted the venue coordinator and asked about the projector set up for the reception slideshow. She happily explained how we could play a video during the speeches. Perfect. I spent the next week editing. I created a short video titled A Love Story. It began with photos of Ethan and me, our engagement, our vacations, the night he proposed. Soft music played in the background. Then the screen would fade to black, and the truth would begin. I added screenshots of messages, phone call logs, audio clips. I kept it concise, undeniable, impossible to twist. I wasn't going to scream accusations. I was going to present facts. The morning of the wedding arrived with golden sunlight streaming through my hotel suite window. My bridesmaids surrounded me in silk robes, sipping champagne. Lauren stood beside me, adjusting her dress, acting like the devoted sister. I looked at her reflection in the mirror. She looked nervous. Good. Ethan sent me a sweet text before the ceremony. Can't wait to call you my wife. I stared at it for a long time before replying with a simple heart emoji. The ceremony was breathtaking. Guests wiped tears from their eyes as we exchanged vows. Ethan's voice trembled when he promised loyalty and honesty. The irony almost made me laugh. When the officiant asked if anyone objected, the room stayed silent. I didn't object. Not yet. We were announced husband and wife. Applause erupted. Cameras flashed. Lauren hugged us both, her smile wide and hollow. The reception began with cocktails and laughter. Everything looked perfect. Exactly how they wanted it. When it was time for speeches, my father went first. He talked about love and trust. My sister went next, delivering a carefully written speech about how happy she was for us. I watched her as she spoke. She avoided my eyes. Then I stood up. I actually prepared something too. I said into the microphone, smiling sweetly. A short video about our journey. Ethan's expression tightened slightly. He hadn't known about this. The lights dimmed. The projector flickered on. Soft music filled the room as photos of our relationship appeared. Guests smiled. Some sighed. Then the screen faded to black. The music stopped. The first screenshot appeared. Lauren, last night can't happen again. Murmurs spread across the room. Ethan shifted beside me. Another screenshot. Ethan, after the wedding, we won't have to hide. Gasps. Then the audio clip played, clear as daylight. Their voices echoing through the speakers for 200 guests to hear. Lauren's laugh. Ethan's whisper. She's too blind to see it. Silence fell like a bomb. I turned slowly toward Ethan. His face had drained of color. Lauren looked like she might faint. I picked up the microphone again. I believe in transparency, I said calmly. If I'm going to marry someone, I think our guests deserve to know the full story. Someone in the crowd whispered, "Oh my God." Ethan tried to grab the microphone. I stepped back. "Don't," I said quietly, still smiling. Lauren started crying, shaking her head. "Madison, please." "Please what?" I asked gently. "Please don't embarrass you." The room felt frozen in time. My mother covered her mouth. My father looked ready to explode. Ethan finally spoke. "This isn't what it looks like." I let out a soft laugh. "It's exactly what it looks like." I signaled to the coordinator, and the final slide appeared. A simple sentence. Trust is everything. The lights came back on. No dramatic screaming. No thrown bouquets. Just truth. Guests began standing up. Some left immediately. Others stared at Ethan and Lauren with open disgust. Ethan's best man stepped away from him like he carried something contagious. Lauren tried to approach me. "I made a mistake," she whispered desperately. I looked at her, not with anger, but with understanding. "You made a choice," I corrected. Ethan's father muttered something about fixing this privately, but there was nothing private left to fix. I handed my bouquet to a stunned bridesmaid. "This wedding is canceled," I announced. Technically, we had already said our vows, but there would be no marriage license filed. I had made sure of that too. I walked out of that vineyard with my head high, my dress flowing behind me, and 200 witnesses to the truth. The aftermath was brutal for them. Ethan's company placed him on leave after the video circulated online. Yes, someone had recorded it. Of course they had. This was 2026. Nothing stays contained. Lauren lost most of her friends. My parents were humiliated, but even they couldn't defend what had been exposed so clearly. People asked me later if I regretted doing it publicly. I didn't. They had planned to humiliate me privately for the rest of my life. I simply chose a different stage. A month later, I moved into a small apartment in the city, quiet, peaceful, mine. One evening, I received a message from Ethan. "I never meant to hurt you." I deleted it without responding. Hurt implies accident. Betrayal requires intention. As for Lauren, She tried to apologize repeatedly. I forgave her in my heart, eventually, not for her sake, but for mine. But forgiveness does not mean access. Some bridges burn permanently. When people ask me how I had the strength to go through with it, I tell them the truth. I didn't do it out of anger. I did it out of self-respect. They thought I would cry, beg, or quietly cancel the wedding to protect the family image. Instead, I protected myself. That vineyard wedding became a viral story for weeks. Strangers online called me brave. Some called me ruthless. Maybe I was both. But I learned something important that day. Revenge isn't about destruction. It's about revelation. It's about refusing to be the only one who carries the shame. My name is Madison Clark, and on the day they tried to make me a fool, I made sure everyone saw who the real fools were.